Good afternoon and welcome to the PG&E Retirement Show. Today we're going to talk about a quick paycheck checkup. So you're going to want to grab your pay stub from the end of the June pay period, or at least the next one that you get, just to use it as a point of reference. So grab your pay stub and I'll be right back. Good afternoon, I'm Dan Leonard with the PG&E Retirement Show, and each week at 2:30 on Mondays we go live here on Facebook to cover a topic about retirement planning or something financial related to your financial well-being. And this week we're going to talk about the paycheck checkup, because here we are on July 2nd, and it is the exact midpoint of the year, day 182. So another 181 days to go this year, and we'll be starting over. So the three things you want to look at on your pay stub. One, go look at what you're contributing to the 401k. If you are under 50 and you're just doing the normal 401k, if your number is greater than 9,000, that means you're on track to max out before the end of the year. If it's less than 9,000, you're not on track to max out by the end of the year. Neither is good or bad. It's just you need to know what that means. Now, if you've got more than 9,000, what you want to figure out is how much more, figure out how much per pay period is going in, and ensure, for those of you at PG&E, that you're going to make the December contribution. Because if you stop making contributions, and I know I talk about this almost every time we talk about the 401k, but the match is only on a monthly basis. So if you max out in October at 18,000 and don't make a contribution in November or December, you don't get the contribution. So if you need to make an adjustment, maybe you need to turn it down a little bit so you have a contribution, that's fine. You also want to make sure that you're at least contributing the 6 or 8%, depending on whether you're new pension or old pension, to maximize the amount that you're going to get on your match. And then finally, if you're doing the catch-up, now the catch-up, you don't have to worry about your matching funds because you're not getting matched on what you put in for the catch-up. But if you're above $3,250, you're on track to max that out by the end of the year. Now, if you've got $4,000 or $5,000 in there, no big deal. You will max out. They'll just stop taking the contributions there. But on the regular, if you're above 9,000 and you want to continue to contribute at the rate you're contributing, make sure you have the spillover election chosen, because that will allow you to put money in on an after-tax basis, and that money can later come out and be rolled into a Roth IRA when you retire. So that's your 401k line of your pay stub. On the employee contributions on the right-hand side, you want to look at that. The second thing you want to do in that same little box there, you're going to see FICA. So FICA wages are the wages that you pay Social Security tax and Medicare tax on. Social Security tax is only paid on the first $128,400 worth of earnings. So if your FICA tax or FICA earnings for the year are greater than year to date are greater than 64,200, you're on track to have your Social Security taxes stop at some point later in the year, which means the 6.2% that goes towards Social Security will stop because you'll hit the max earnings, and that'll start to come home. So you might use that to save a little extra in your 401k. You might use it to pay off some debt. You might use it to put towards property taxes, whatever it is. By now, if you're maxing out, you probably know you max out every year and have a plan for that money. But if for some reason you got this is going to be the first year you got a raise and now you're over 128,000 in income for the course of the year, be aware that when you hit $128,400, the 6.2 that goes to Social Security will stop coming out. The 1.45 that is part of FICA, which is on Medicare, will come out no matter what. So that comes out on every dollar you earned, and then to the point where if you make, and I believe the number is 238,000, I'll have to go back and look at that, but if you make above 238,000, there could be an additional tax that shows up on your federal return for what they call the Medicare premium tax. which is an additional 1.45, which gets you the another 2.38%. So 2.38 goes to Medicare on the amounts above the $238,000. And then the last thing is your withholdings. You want to look at your paycheck, and if you've been with PG&E for over a year, you probably have access to your back pay stubs, but you want to look at your earnings compared to either the year end or the middle of the year last year, because if you got a slight raise, as most people do, your withholdings should be the same or slightly greater at the midpoint of the year as they were, should be the same or slightly higher than what they were a year ago, or half of what you put in at the end of the year. Again, should be slightly higher. If they're not, you may want to consider upping your withholdings, because what happened at the beginning of this year, when the whole Tax Cut and Jobs Act came through, I know PG&E definitely missed it in January, and I've heard some people say February or not. I haven't looked at the withholdings month by month, but because the IRS did not issue new tables, most companies in January used the 2017 tables, and some companies in 2018 or in February still were using the 2017 tables, which have a slightly lower withholding rate than what should be. So if you are the type of person that always kind of exactly nails your withholdings, if one or two checks withheld a little bit less than they should have, you may have a situation later in the year where you might have a slight amount owed on taxes. Now, don't panic. It's not going to be a huge number, but it is something that if you want to take a look at it now, you can make a minor adjustment and wind up making sure you don't owe at the end of the year. And it's worthwhile taking a look. Again, what you do is take this paycheck that you just have gotten, look at it either versus the same paycheck from a year ago or the one at the end of the year, the 12/31. And if you're not at least equal to the one from a year ago or half of what the one that came out in the at the end of the year, you might want to consider again adjusting that. And if you need help looking at it or calculating any of those numbers, whether it be the 401k, your Social Security wages, or the withholdings, feel free to give us a call. You can reach me again. I'm Dan Leonard. You can also email me here. Oh, sorry, hit the wrong button there. So I'm sorry. Oh. So there's our phone number. There's my email. This is how you can schedule a time to talk to us. And there was the button we're looking for. I'm Dan Leonard. So I appreciate your time. Have a great 4th of July. And if we can do anything, again, please give us a call, 925-791. I'm sorry, 726-401k. If you've got tax questions, the 791-1040 is my tax line, but either number you can get a hold of me on. So thank you so much again. Happy 4th of July, and talk to you soon.